See, session tracking methods. How many session tracking methods are there? Four. What is first one? Second one? Third one? Fourth one? Hidden form fields. See, I'll ask some questions. Give me answer. Can we implement cookies independently? URL rating? HTTP session? No. HTTP sessions depending on other session tracking method. So how many ways? Two ways with cookies. Next with URL rewriting. Okay. So cookies, URL rewriting, HTTP sessions, hidden form fields. Four session tracking methods. Third session tracking method we cannot implement independently. That is the reason either cookies or URL rating required. Okay. Fourth one, hidden form fields. Now I'll ask some more questions. Give me answer. In first session tracking method, is it session ID created? Is it created? No. Second session tracking method? No. Third one? Yes. Third one created. That purpose only cookies and URL rating. Okay. That purpose only cookies or URL rating required. In fourth session tracking method, is it created? No. First session tracking method cookies, where client state information stored? Browser memory. Second session tracking method? Appended to URL. Third session tracking method? Stored in server system. Hidden form fields? Stored in hidden fields. That is just a variable. Whenever next page visited, no, it is vanished. So URL rating, hidden form fields. Just if next page is visited, that is vanished. Okay. Now in first session tracking method, size of the data, is it limited or unlimited? URL rating, HTTP session, unlimited. Hidden form fields, limited. Can we set time interval for cookies? Can we set URL rating? Time interval. Time interval not possible for URL rating. Third one, yes. Fourth one, no. Okay. Here, will it supports other than string? No. Will it supports? It is also string only. In address bar, it's string format only. All. Third one, yes, because this parameter is object. Object means superclass. Any subclass object you can pass. Fourth one, I think you are just selecting one answer. Yes or no? Like that, if you use, no use. It's input type equal to text, name equal to, input type equal to hidden, name equal to, value equal to, will write. There any other format possible other than string? No, string only. Later we'll convert if you want. Okay. Just if you think you'll get answer, but blindly if you select, no use. My time waste, your time waste. Now, all session tracking methods you have seen. Now, I'll open Eclipse. See, all programs you have seen. Total 5 programs. 5 programs you studied. But 5 programs, same concept I explained. Same concept. Now see, cookies, URL rating, HTTP sessions, hidden form fields. 4 programs, same task, session tracking method different. Okay. But what you do is later this application, login, redirecting program, you studied. Redirecting program is studied. Homepage.html. Login. I'll type username. I'll type password. When I click on submit button, how many servlets executed? How many servlets? 2 servlets. What are those? Login servlet, welcome servlet. Okay. Now login servlet, welcome servlet. This output from which servlet? Welcome servlet. See URL pattern also welcome. But in between login servlet executed. Okay. In between login servlet executed. Now what you do is say in between login servlet executed. Login servlet, welcome servlet. Okay. Login servlet, welcome servlet. Login servlet here, actually this login.html. It is login.html. Login.html submit button, if we click, the data comes here. Okay. Here we return redirect. Then what will happen? From here, control password to browser. Again, it will come back. Like this executed. That's what this data vanished here itself. Okay. Now what you do is login servlet to welcome servlet. You bring the data with session tracking method. What you do is in a login servlet, cookie, create cookie variables, 2 cookie variables, 1 cookie variable for username, 1 more cookie variable for password. Those 2 add to client system, retrieve from client system. Here login servlet program to create 2 cookie variables. 2 cookie variables create. How will create cookie variable? Cookie c equal to new cookie. Uname s1. Same cookie c equal to new cookie. Password p word s2. Like that create. After that, how to add to client system? Which method you have to call? Which method you have to call to add to client system? Which method? How to add cookie? Add cookie. Add cookie method is there, no? Adding to client system. Add cookie method. Okay. Add cookie method you call cookies added. After that, retrieve. How will retrieve cookies? Get cookies. Get cookies. After getting cookies, you will get a username, password, but display only username. Password don't display. Okay. Now, then what will happen? 1 cookie variable you are going to display. 1 cookie variable you are not displaying, but that password. Like that you do it. 1 more, username, password append to URL. Append to URL. After appending to URL, if you want to append, what will do? Question mark, uname equal to s1 and p word equal to s2. Like that, add to URL. After adding, while retrieving, which method you'll use? Get parameter. In URL rating, we didn't use anything, only get parameter. Get parameter. Then username display, password don't display. Okay. Like that you do. And HTTP sessions. How will add to session variable? Which method will call? Set. Give me answer. Set attribute. Set attribute. Add to set attribute. Next retrieving. Get attribute. With session tracking method, third session tracking method, do that one. Later, hidden form fields. How will write? Give me answer. Yesterday only you said that is. Input type equal to hidden. Name equal to uname and value equal to S1. That is like a password. Display here only username. So this program you apply session tracking. Got it? So there we added books. Here what you are adding? Username and password. Username, password, add, retrieve with all session tracking methods. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. So fifth one means this is only third one only two types with cookies with URL reading. These all you try yourself for this application. Here you are getting null, no? Now with session tracking method you can bring the data. Then you can display username. That is you try to do it. Okay. Now, so whatever you studied session tracking methods, all you apply to this program. You apply to this program. Okay. But what you learned is, this is you learned cookie. See, run on server. Here I'll select it two books. When I click submit button, here these books are added to client system, retrieved from client system. It is retrieved from client system with cookies. But what you do, username, password, add, display username. Okay. URL rating you all seen. Here also. Here two programs will be there. Set URL, get URL. See, I'll select the books. When you click on submit button, selected books, append it to URL, retrieved from URL. Okay. Later sessions you have seen. Here two programs are there. Set session, get session. Set session, get session methods are there. See, suppose you selected these two books. When you click submit button, now it is added to server memory. When I click next button, it will retrieve from server memory. That is session ID. Here session ID with URL rating displayed. Session ID with cookies, ID not displayed. Hidden form fields yesterday you have seen. But here compulsory form submit button required. Here. Suppose one book selected. Here book added to hidden field. When you click next button, from hidden field retrieved. Like this, all session tracking methods you studied. What I am giving a task is, you try to complete this program with session tracking. Login Servlet to welcome Servlet. Welcome Servlet, bring the data with different session tracking methods. Okay. See, I given already content starting class. First topic JDBC. Okay. Second topic servlets. These two completed. So almost 70% completed. 75% completed. Okay. Remaining all nothing. Remaining very quickly can learn. Okay. Main these two only. 75% these two only. Okay. Like JDBC servlets, major topics completed. Now next what is there? Servlet listeners. Next filters. Next JSP. Next JSP using Java beans. Next JSP EL. Next JSTL. Next MVC. Next reflection API. These 8 topics, it is nothing. These 2 topics only major. Okay, these all very quickly you can learn. These are nothing. These all just equivalent to JDBC like that. Okay, so these are just servlet 25% subject completed, 25% left. Okay, now these all actually in real time No one is using servlets, listeners, JSP, these all. For learning frameworks, this knowledge compulsory. That's the reason you are learning. Okay. For real time, all are we using frameworks only. Because if they use servlet, JSP, these all, it takes more time. That is the reason they'll use frameworks. But directly framework you cannot learn. That is, you cannot understand. That is the reason these all. For learning frameworks, this knowledge required. Okay. With this knowledge, framework becomes very easy. Otherwise, difficult appears. So here actually, here in this MVC, what I'll do is, while teaching MVC, JDBC, servlet, JSP, Java Bean, all I'll mix. I'll mix in a one program. JDBC will be there, servlet will be there, JSP will be there, Java Bean will be there. All will be in a one program I'll teach. That is, we are going to write program each and everything ourselves. That is only predefined, nothing but framework. That is Spring MVC. You are going to learn further. Spring MVC. Here MVC ourselves will write. Spring MVC already defined. With this knowledge, that is nothing appears. But directly if you learn that one, hard appears. That is the reason. That's it. So MVC, M nothing but model, V nothing but view, C nothing but controller, model nothing but Java Bean, view nothing but JSP, controller nothing but servlet. These three will combine. These three will combine. At the time we use HTML also, JSP, JDBC also will use. Those all, each and everything ourselves will connect together all. That is, you will learn. Later what will happen, this is only predefined will be there. That is only framework. Then very quickly you can develop applications with frameworks. Spring MVC, Struts MVC, JSF MVC, Spring Boot MVC. Many frameworks are there. Wicket MVC, so many frameworks are there. But after joining the company, that company, their own framework also may be there. With this knowledge, if they give any framework, you can understand easily. That is the reason you are learning. Okay. Small scale industries, they are using these also. Small companies. But large scale companies, they won't use these all. They'll use directly MVC frameworks only. Frameworks only they'll prefer. Because if you develop web application with these concepts, suppose it has taken 3 months, assume. Same program with frameworks in a 1 month you can develop. So triple time required here. Then what will happen? Company has to pay 3 months salary here. Their company has to pay 1 month salary. Then money point of view also they'll think. Money they'll think, time they'll think. That's what? That is better. But that is directly you cannot learn. If you learn also, you cannot understand properly. That is the problem comes. That is the reason advanced Java. Okay. But small scale companies, they are using. Small scale projects, they are using. These all. Now, next one, servlet listeners. After learning these, after learning JDBC servlets, now no need to wait until completion of this advanced Java. Spring parallel you can learn. Spring parallel you can learn. Because there also, first module Spring Core will be there. Spring Core. It is nothing but not advanced Java, core Java concept. Spring Core. First module. Spring Core is core Java framework. Spring is entire Java framework. Not only for advanced Java, not only one application. Spring is entire Java framework. Okay. But directly Spring Core also nothing but core Java only. But can you learn directly Spring Core? Not possible. Core Java required. Core Java prerequisite. Like that. Core Java, advanced Java for getting job. After joining the company, Spring Boot. Working purpose different, getting job different. Okay. So for getting job, this knowledge is required, that knowledge is required. After getting a job, that knowledge is only required. But that is directly can you learn? Not possible. Suppose, I think already you are attending Spring Core, Spring module. Spring Core, that is core Java only. But without core Java knowledge, that is possible? No. Same thing. So MVC framework, Spring MVC, for that this knowledge is required. Spring MVC, if you want to learn, this knowledge is required. Okay. Spring Core if you want to learn, Core Java required. Like that. Hibernate if you want to learn, this JDBC required. With Spring, all integrations possible. There you are going to learn. Okay. But advanced Java totally web application. Web application means MVC framework required. Spring MVC, Spring Boot MVC at the time. Okay. Say Spring Boot. Spring Boot, if you want to learn also, Spring basics required. At least basics required. But Spring Boot also directly not possible. Spring basics knowledge required. See. Now, next concept, servlet listeners. Note on. Servlets listeners. Servlet listeners are interfaces that contain servlet listeners are interfaces that contain event handlers. Servlet listeners are interfaces that contain event handlers to handle events. Servlet listeners are interfaces that contain event handlers to handle events which are generated by web container. Servlet listeners are interfaces that contain event handlers to handle events which are generated by web container. Servlet listeners are interfaces that contain event handlers to handle events which are generated by web container. Events nothing but object, handlers nothing but methods, listeners nothing but interfaces. What exactly this one? I'll explain. Servlet listeners are interfaces that contains event handlers to handle events which are generated by web container. Say web container generates event, nothing but object created. That object handled by event handler. That is nothing but method. That is available in interface. That is listener. This is, say, for example, this one directly if I explain, all people cannot understand. Again, core Java knowledge. Like this, concept required. Spring also, this knowledge required. For this one also, core Java knowledge required. Then it becomes easy. Exception handling. You studied, no? Like that. Okay. Exception handling. This is that type only. Event handling. Okay. Here, whenever exception occurs, what will happen? Try catch is syntax. Whenever exception occurs, what will be happen? Okay, your answer right or wrong? Give me answer first. Whenever exception occurred in a program, then what will be happen? Program terminated, leave it. First, what JVM will do? Exception means runtime error only. No. Exception means runtime error. Compile time error is not called exception. Logical error is not exception. Compile time error is not exception. Runtime errors only called exceptions. Exception means runtime error. All exceptions are runtime errors. All runtime errors are exceptions only. Next. I want whenever exception occurs in a program, what will be happen? Your answer right or wrong, whatever it may be, give answer. I'll wait. What is it? Okay, online student, 10 answers came. Here, one person given. Object created. See, one person given answer, right answer. Whenever exception occurred, automatically object created by JVM. I given notes, you can see Core Java notes. Whenever exception occurred in a program, then the object of related exception class is created by JVM, passed to exception handler, and exception handler code is executed. This point I given in a Core Java notes. Later you can check it out. It will be there. Okay. Whenever exception occurs, for every exception, they prepared one class. For every exception, they prepared one class. Okay. Whenever occurs, automatically exception class object created by JVM. That object passed to exception handler. Exception handler nothing but catch block. Catch block will catch that code executed. Whatever you write in the catch block. That is exception handling mechanism. Okay. See, whenever exception occurs, object created by JVM passed to catch block. That's what in a catch block, always we are writing exception E. See, you take any program, you are writing catch exception E, like that we are writing. See, here, you are writing, suppose catch SQL exception, IO exception. Here, what is SQL exception? Class or interface or method or variable or parameter. What is this? Class. What is E? SQL exception is a class. IO exception is a class. What is E? Object reference. Can I call variable? Yes. Primitive type variable or reference variable? What it contains? Hash code. Okay. See, SQL exception or IO exception, it is multi-catch block. Multiple exceptions with multiple exception, handling multiple exception with single catch block. Okay, handling multiple exceptions. Exceptions multiple, catch block is one. This syntax, handling multiple exception with single catch block. Okay, now SQL exception or IO exception, it is handled here. Suppose while running this statement, while running this one, exception occurred. Assume. Then what will happen? SQL exception object created by JVM. That object received here. That's what object reference will receive. Object created there, that is received here. Okay. Object created there. Whenever exception occurs, then automatically that exception object created. Who will create? JVM. That object passed to this exception handler. Nothing but catch block. It will handle. There it will throw. It will catch. That will try. Try block. It is going to try. While whenever exception occurs, object will be thrown. That object, it will catch. So whenever exception occurs, automatically SQL exception object created by JVM. That object, it comes here. That is received here. That's what E, object reference. It will receive. Whatever you write here, that code executed, output comes. Here, if you write user-friendly error message, that will print no. User-friendly error message also you can write. It will print. Generally, when we'll write user-friendly error message while releasing the project to client, then we'll write. Because user understandable message. That is will write. Okay. Here, object created by JVM passed to catch block. Then catch block will catch that message executed. That mechanism inbuilt. Same style here. Servlet listeners. Here, object created by JVM server, web container here. Web container creates. It will pass the object. Who will catch? Event handler. Event handler nothing but method. That method where it is in listener. What is listener interface? So here what will happen? Web container generates objects. Web container generates objects. Okay, those objects we can handle. We can handle with methods. Those methods are present in interfaces. What we have to do? Implement interface, override that method, handle the object. After handling, whatever you want, you can display. But in previous programs also, events generated, but not handled because we didn't write listeners. Okay. If you write listener, what will happen? Always it will listen. Event is generated or not, I'll observe. If it is event generated, no, it will listen, it will handle. That is the reason listener. It is going to listen. Events, it will listen. Whenever event occurs, handles. See, for example, previous programs also events generated. Say, previous programs, one concept explained. Object creation order by web container. I explained, no? Object creation order by web container. First, which object created? Over. What is it? Servlet context. First, servlet context created. When it is created? Whenever web application is deployed. If we click on deploy button, object created. That is servlet context. Then one event generated. Event generated actually. That event you can handle. Whatever you want, you can display. Suppose when you click on deploy button, but here deploy button, nothing but this is. Right click, run as, run on server, localhost, Tomcat, next. Here, if you click finish button, this is deployed. These are like a war files type, deployed. Now, here, how many are there? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose I'll remove some more. Suppose this is I'll remove, this is I'll remove, this is I'll remove, this is I'll remove, this is I'll remove. Now, only login. If I click on finish button, this application deployed. Whenever application deployed, automatically servlet context object created. Whenever servlet context is created, then one event generated. One more object created, servlet context event. That object created. That object passed to event handler. That event handler is available in listeners. That method will handle. In that method, whatever you write, that is displayed. So when I click on deploy button, some information required to display. Then what you can do, that code you can write there, it will display. So automatically generated. That means in previous programs also generated. We didn't handle because we didn't write listeners. That's what not listen. Suppose myself I'm teaching. All are listening? No. Listener. See, myself I'm teaching. All are not listening. Okay. So listener. If you are listening means you will receive. My words will receive. If you are not listening means you will not receive. Like that. Previous programs, listeners were not there. That's what not listen. Now I'm going to write, it will listen. If you concentrate, you will listen. If you listen, you will receive. Otherwise, no. Like that only. There also event generated, but not listened. Because listeners was not there. You write listener, it will work. It is going to listen. So, if I click on deploy button, if I click on finish button here, that is going to be deployed. While deploying one event generated, that event handle, yourself you handle. Whatever you want, do it. Okay. Suppose, for example, this program only observe. Here. What is this? Init method. In the init method, what I written? What I written? What is this code? Okay, that will leave it. This code, give me answer. What is this code? These two lines. Connection establishment. This is connected to database, no? No. Servlet program connected to database with these two lines. Okay. Now, when these two lines are executed, whenever init method is called, when init method called, whenever object is created, when object is created, whenever first request comes, that means first request only init called. Okay. Whenever first request comes, object created by JVM with that object lifecycle init method called, then this code executed. So whenever first request comes, then connection established. But instead of that, when I click on deploy button, only connection establish. Possible. When I click on deploy button, connection should establish. Then it will be ready. Connection. Whenever first request comes, first request, second request, you observe. What's the difference? Whenever first request comes, init method called, connection established. After that, this do post method executed. Okay. When second request comes, directly this do post now, because service calls do post like that you studied. This is executed. Here, directly this do post executed, it will be called. But first request, it takes time. Second request, directly this is executed. First request takes time. As compared to second request, third request, first request, it takes time because it has to establish the connection. But instead of that, whenever application deployed, then only establish the connection. How? Event generator, no? Handle. There only write connection code. It will be established. Deployment time only can establish the connection. Not only the task, while deploying, whatever you want, they can do. While creating a session, whatever you want, you can create, you can do. That means whenever event generated, that event handle yourself. You handle, you write the code. That is automatically executed. No need to call, automatically executed. That is you are going to learn. See, whenever exception occurs, automatically exception handler will handle, no? Like that, whenever event occurred, automatically can handle. That code if you write, it will handle. So, web container generates events. Web container generates events. Those events handle yourself. You write the code, whatever you want. That purpose, this concept. Okay. Now, Servlet listeners, not easy. You need to put efforts. You have to work hard to understand. Okay. See, I'll explain one by one. Very depth. I'll explain. See, write this one. There are many listeners, many Servlet listeners. First one, Jakarta.servlet context listener. Second one, Jakarta.servlet context attribute listener. Jakarta.servlet.hdp session listener. Jakarta.servlet.hdp session attribute listener. Dash etc. There are many Servlet listeners. First one, Servlet context listener. Second one, Servlet context attribute listener. Third one, HDP session listener. Fourth one, HDP session attribute listener. There are many Servlet listeners. First one, Servlet context listener. Second one, Servlet context attribute listener. Third one, HDP session listener. Fourth one, HDP session attribute listener. Dash etc. Many are there. But one listener, if you learn, remaining listener, same style. Servlet context listener, servlet context attribute listener, HTTP session listener, HTTP session attribute listener. Okay. Now, one by one, we'll see. First one, servlet context listener. It contains the following event listeners. It contains the following event handlers to handle servlet context event. It contains the following event handlers to handle servlet context event. It contains the following event handlers to handle servlet context event. Servlet context event is generated. Servlet context event is generated by web container whenever web application is whenever servlet context is created and destroyed. Servlet context event is generated by web container whenever servlet context is created and destroyed. When servlet context is created, this is you studied. When servlet context is created, when servlet context is created, whenever web application is deployed, whenever web application is deployed, write that point also. Servlet context is created by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. Servlet context is destroyed by web container whenever web application is undeployed from server. Servlet context is created by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. Servlet context is destroyed by web container whenever web application is undeployed from server. See, whenever web application is deployed, then servlet context created, then servlet context event generated. Whenever web application is undeployed, then also servlet context event generated. Okay. Servlet context is destroyed whenever web application is undeployed from server. Servlet context is created whenever web application is deployed. Deployment time, it is created. So it is created whenever application deployed. It is destroyed whenever application undeployed. Creation, deployment time, undeployment time, this event generated. See what I given? Servlet context event is generated by web container whenever servlet context is created and destroyed. When it is created, deployment time. When it is destroyed, on deployment time. So actually, this is, it is server. It is war file. It is war file. Suppose first dot war. Now, this is deployed. Then what will happen? Servlet context created. While creating servlet context event generated. That is, this application, if I remove servlet context destroyed, while destroying also servlet context event generated. So while deploying, while undeploying, events are generated. Those events handle deployment time, whatever you required, write the code. Undeployment time, whatever you required, write the code. Suppose if you write a code, web application deployed one message. Whenever you deploy, immediately output comes web application deployed. If you undeploy, you write message web application undeployed, that message comes immediately, automatically executed, output comes. But which are event handlers? I'll give. It is just like a catch block. Noted? Is it over? These all methods, or these methods are accessible? Yes or no? How do you know? Public methods. Are these methods instance? Are these methods are concrete methods or abstract methods? Are these abstract methods or concrete methods? Think yourself and you answer. Don't discuss with your friends. Your answer may be right, your friend answer may be wrong. If you discuss, both will give one answer. See, your answer abstract method, your friend answer concrete method. Both will discuss. At last, what will happen? One answer will give. Maybe your answer right. After discussion with your friend, it becomes wrong. That's what. Think and give answer. First of all, servlet context listener. Servlet context listener. Is it interface or class? Interface. Now, these methods are accessible or not accessible. How do you know? Public. Okay. Now, these are abstract methods or concrete methods. How many people answer abstract methods? Just raise your hand. One minute. Okay. How many people answer concrete methods? Online students, give me answer abstract method. Okay. Concrete methods. But remaining people, any other method? Have studied default keyword? Yes or no? In which version you studied? Java 8. Java 8. Java 8. That is abstract method or concrete method? Concrete method. Default keyword. Java 8 features. Default methods in interface. Static methods in interface. Java 9 feature. Private method in interface. Every concept I taught in core Java. Later check it notes. Default methods in interface. Default method concept is there in Java. That is Java 8 feature. If abstract keyword will be there, if abstract method. Studied or not studied? Default methods in interface, abstract methods in static methods in interface, private methods in interface, lambda expressions, functional interfaces. These all I taught. Stream API, method references, constructor references, 10 features in Java 8. Java 8, 9, 10, up to 18 I taught. 19 day before yesterday came. Java 19 also came. Okay. Up to Java 18, all features I covered in core Java class. See, here one person given, you observe. Here. See what he given, you observe. Public default both together. Default access modifier means default not keyword. Default keyword means default keyword for default methods only will write. If you don't write any access modifier, see, suppose class A, here class A, here void show. If I write here which access modifier? Default, but default keyword should not write. Default keyword interface concept, that is. Concrete method purpose introduced to that keyword. Now this is public. This is public method. If you don't write this one, default. That default different. Default keyword different. So here which access modifier is there? Default. But default keyword writing? No. That is default access modifier. Without writing any access modifier also, one type of access modifier, that is default. But default keyword you should not write. But default keyword, what purpose we are using? Concrete methods in interface. And in switch case default. That default will write. Okay. But default keyword is not there in the access modifiers list. Okay. It is concrete method. Concrete methods possible Java 8 onwards. Java 8 onwards, concrete methods possible. That feature. Interface totally changed in Java 8 onwards. Functional interface. At functional interface annotation, method reference, stream API, predefined functional interfaces, and a static method in interface. Default method in interface, nothing but concrete method in interface. Concrete methods also we can write in interface from Java 8. That is Java 8 feature. Okay. These are concrete methods. Now it is not mandatory to override both. If you want one also we can override. That facility they given from Java 8. So previously only abstract methods in interface. If you implement all methods you have to override. But now with this concept one also you can override. Okay. As compared to advanced Java, core Java most important. Advanced Java is nothing. What is there? Every day same procedure. Observe. Every day you will write init method, service method, post method. You will write library call. That's it. No logic, nothing. But there more logic is there in core Java. Okay. So these are concrete methods. It is in interface only. In this interface, two concrete methods are there. If you implement this interface, it is not mandatory to override both the methods. One method also you can override, two methods also you can override. Even if you don't override also, nothing will happen. But if you don't override any method, no error, no exception, no output. That type. Okay. That means suppose I want only one only override, use. You want both override, use. But previously Java, before Java 8, compulsory override two methods. Because both are abstract previously. Java 8 onwards changed. Okay. These are concrete methods because default keyword. Now, context initialized method called by web container context initialized method called by web container whenever servlet context is created. Context destroyed method called by web container whenever servlet context is destroyed. So core Java, don't forget. Interview purpose also core Java only important. Context destroyed method, context destroyed method called by web container whenever servlet context is destroyed. See, actually what will happen, just observe. It is server. It is war file. This war file I'll deploy. First, what will happen? Servlet context created. Servlet context created. Whenever servlet context created, then servlet context event generated. That event handled by this method. That method body execute. It is just like a catch block. Whenever application deployed, context created, context event generated, pass it to this method, that method body executed. Whenever exception occurs, object created, pass it to catch block code executed, that type. Whenever exception occurs, exception class object created, that object pass it to catch block executed. Here, whenever application deployed, context created, context event generated, that is passed to this method. This method body executed, that is automatically done. Okay. Now again application undeployed. What will happen? Context destroyed. Then again event generated. Then that event handled by the second method. Context destroyed. So these methods automatically executed. No need to execute. Write the program, deploy. Automatically done. Whatever you write the code here, whatever you write the code, whatever you write the code in this method, while deploying application, executed. Whatever you write the code here, while undeploying application, executed. Suppose in this method body, I'll write one message, application deployed successfully. In this method body, application undeployed successfully. I'll write. Whenever you deploy, one message comes, application deployed successfully. Whenever you undeploy, application undeployed successfully. Message comes. Otherwise, in this method body, connection establishment code I'll write. Servlet and database. In this method body, connection closing code I'll write. Whenever you deploy, connection established. Whenever undeploy, connection closed. Automatically this program is executed. That mechanism is event handling mechanism. Okay. So how to use this one, I'll explain. Okay. Write this one. The following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. The following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. The following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. The following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. First, application deployed. What will happen? Give me answer. Servlet context is created by web container. Okay. So write it. Servlet context is created. Whenever servlet context is created, event generated. Servlet context event generated. Servlet context event is passed to context initialized method. Context initialized method body executed. The following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is deployed on server. Servlet context is created. Servlet context event is event generated. Event is generated. Servlet context event is passed to context initialized method. Context initialized method body executed. So application deployed, no, this is executed. Whatever you write, that printed, that code executed. Is it over? Next, the following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is undeployed from server. The following series of actions done by web container whenever web application is undeployed from server. Servlet context is destroyed. Servlet context event is generated. Servlet context event is passed to context destroyed method. Context destroyed method body executed. You already studied servlet context. Is it common to all servlets or servlet context is specific to servlet? Servlet context is common to all servlets or specific to servlet? But don't select our answer, think and select. Okay. If we select without thinking, if we select, my time is your time is. Servlet context is common to all servlets or specific to servlet? Common to all, specific, both you are selecting. Confidently give answer. How many people answer common to all servlets? Online students? Now, next, how many people answer specific to servlet? Majority people no answer. See, majority no answer. Online also, offline also, same position. Majority, no answer. Servlet context, servlet config, both you studied while teaching initialization parameters, context parameters. Servlet context common to all servlets. Servlet config specific to servlet. You forgot subject. Core Java only you are giving, not giving answer. Core Java also you are not giving answer. See, until you reach your target, you should not forget subject. Okay? Until you reach your target, first you set your mind. You have to remember these all concepts until you reach your target. Say, while doing BTech, what you will do? You will remember. You will remember your subject up to exam. Up to exam, no? You will set your mind up to exam, up to exam. Up to exam, you'll remember. After exam, only you'll forget. Same question paper, next day, if they conduct, many people will fail. Same question paper. Next day, if they conduct, many people will fail. That is our mindset. That's it. Okay. Now you set your mind until you reach your target. You have to remember. Until you reach your target, you have to remember. Okay. See, while doing BTech like that only you'll do. Up to exam, up to exam, up to exam. After exam, you'll forget. That's it. Once if you read exam, no, all you'll forget. Same question paper, if they conduct next day, many people will fail. That is happening. Now you set your mind until you reach your target, you have to remember subject. Okay. Say, servlet context is common to all servlets. Servlet config is specific to servlet. Okay. Servlet context. Say, here, application deployed. One context memory created. Suppose servlet context, this is memory. This memory common to all servlets in this war file. Now, application deployed. Servlet context created. This is created. Some memory allocated. In that memory, context parameters will be stored. I given program, driver, URL, user, password. I given no? JDBC driver, URL, username, password. That will be stored here. Whatever you pass context parameters in XML file, that is going to be stored. Some memory, that is servlet context, nothing but some object created. In that object, context parameters will be there. Those parameters you can use in all servlets in the war file. So it is web application. Okay, it is nothing but .war file. It is .war file. It is nothing but servlet context. Servlet context. See, web application deployed. This context created. This context created. Then only event generated automatically. Event generated automatically. And that event object passed to context initialized method. In that method, whatever you write, that code executed. That is automatically done. Whenever your application undeployed, this is vanished. Context destroyed. Then again event generated. That event passed to context destroyed method. That method body executed. So deployment time, this method executed. Undeployment time, this method executed. So directly one step means when you deploy, this is called. When you deploy and undeploy, this is called. But actually directly not called. Context created, event generated, that event received, then called. Again context destroyed, event generated, this event received, that is called. But if you want to remember like this, you can remember. Whenever application deployed, that method called. Whenever application undeployed, this method called. That is automatically done. Automatically done. Whatever you write the code here, deployment time executed. Whatever you write the code, undeployment time executed. This program no need to execute by us. While selecting here, see, here one option is there. Right click, new, listener. See, here listener option is in. It is servlet, it is listener, it is filter. You are going to see all. Here JSP. Okay, here listener. Listener you have to select. This is not servlet, servlet listener. Here no service method, no do wait method, no do post method. Event handlers only will be there. Okay, those methods you cannot call, automatically called. Okay, that is that program. What I'll teach here, whenever web application deployed, in it this method called. Okay, this method is going to be called. This method is going to be called. Okay, in this method I'll write JDBC connection establishment. I'll write in this method connection close code I'll write. When you click on deploy, connection established. When you click on undeploy, connection closed. That connection you can use in all servlets because context is common to all servlets. No, one time only you can write connection code. Many times you can use. See, in this program, here login servlet, registration servlet. Both the servlet connection code are written. No need to write now. One time only write. You can access in all pages, all servlets. That is, I'll show you in tomorrow class. Okay, tomorrow we'll see continuation.